What's up? What's up? It's your girl, Kelly Michelle, and you are here on Act Up. Let's research some ways to get our mind right from acting up and thinking anything outside of what we're supposed to be focused on. Let's stay above crazy thoughts. When you think about acting up, you think about being bad as a child. But there is something to this whole idea of acting up, and we've switched it around to make the act stand for above crazy thoughts. But just go with me for a minute to the fact that acting up happens for a reason. There's always a root reason for quote unquote acting up. Either it's attention, either it's, um, you know, lack of knowledge, either it's just acting out, just rebelling. It's always a reason. So instead of just saying acting up, we're not doing that anymore because acting up is a good thing. When we say act up, we're referencing keeping our minds right, looking up in the sky, keeping our heads up. That's what we're changing ACT UP to. And here on ACT UP, we're going to be talking about and researching some ways to ensure that our mental health stays in check, that we are keeping our minds right. That's what we're changing ACT UP to. And here on ACT UP, we're going to be talking about and researching some ways to ensure that our mental health stays in check, that we are keeping our minds right. Okay, today, as usual, we are touching up on a very important subject. We are talking about some behavioral therapy because we want to focus on our thoughts here at ACT UP. We are huge on self reflection and focusing within. So I'm going to be referencing a book titled Thoughts and Feelings. This is third edition, and it's by McKay Davis Fanning. So that's Matthew McKay, Martha Davis, and they're both doctors, and then Patrick Fanning. Okay, this book sold over 100,000 copies, and it basically is a book that is a self-help workbook, excuse me, and it is all about helping us take control of our moods and our life. And in this book, it covers relaxation and it's basically cognitive behavioral techniques for relaxation, worry control, coping with panic, ending depression, getting mobilized, stopping unwanting thoughts, changing habits, overcoming phobias, problem solving, changing limited thinking, stress inoculation, testing our core beliefs, controlling anger, healing your past, and mindfulness. So, I just wanted to introduce this book because we're going to dive into this book throughout the course of a few episodes because it's very in depth on the different things that we can do as we are becoming more and more aware of our own inner being, our thoughts, and staying on top of anything crazy that tries to come up, anything that tries to pull our energy down. We are all on top of that. We are staying on top of these, above these crazy thoughts, so that nothing can pull us down. Our energy is needed for us to pour our message into the world and help other people who are going through the same thing as us. But we have to focus on ourselves first. So why does cognitive behavioral therapy work? So, according to the Thoughts and Feelings book that we are studying as we are becoming self aware and we are being mindful, cognitive behavioral therapy does work. So many people believe that painful feelings are caused by a forgotten childhood experience, and that the only way to relieve painful feelings is through long, difficult analysis that roots out unconscious memories and associations. There is some connection between our distant past and painful feelings in the present, but modern cognitive behavioral therapists have discovered a much more immediate and accessible source of emotions, which is our current train of thought. It has been demonstrated over and over that painful emotions are immediately preceded by some kind of interpreting thought. So, for example, a new acquaintance or somebody you're just meeting doesn't call you when he said he would call you. Okay. If your interpreting thought is he doesn't like me after all, you'll feel sad at, being you feel rejected. If your thought was he's been in a car crash, you'll feel anxiety, because you don't want him to be hurt for his well-being. If you thought he deliberately lied to me about calling, you might feel anger at this, and it's because you don't like somebody being dishonest with you. This is showing you that forms of the heart of cognitive behavioral therapy, um, this simple insight, I'm sorry, forms that this simple insight. Let me read this right because I want to read this part. This simple insight forms the heart of cognitive behavioral therapy. So what this means is you can change your feelings by changing your thoughts. Hundreds of studies over the last 25 years have proved that this simple insight can be applied to relieve a large variety of problems more easily and quickly than any other therapeutic technique. So that's why we're interested in this. So now we want to figure out, since we can, do therapy to help us feel better about our past that we remember or that we don't. We know something is just weighing us down. Now we need a treatment plan. So this book is cool because we don't have to read it cover to cover, but it has different modules based on what we are experiencing the most in our lives. And those are all of the things that I read at the beginning of this, which included the things that you have currently going on that are weighing you down. Everybody has different things. Some of us may have the same. All right, so we're looking at a couple of topics. This episode alone, we'll go ahead and tackle one of the topics. So let's see: worry, perfectionism, phobia, depression, obsessional thinking. Let's see: shame and guilt, low self-esteem, anger, bad habits. Let's see: procrastination. What are we experiencing the most right here? Let's look at low self-esteem first. We are highly confident, but confidence is so important with anything we're doing. So we want to make sure that our self-esteem, our self-worth, our confidence is up first and foremost. So, when you suffer from low self-esteem, you feel worthless, flawed, and incompetent. You're blind to your strong points and you exaggerate your weak points. Your accomplishments in life seem trivial and your failures seem huge. Your mood may be sad and depressed, or you may be irritable and aggressive to cover up your feelings of low self esteem. You're surprised and incredulous if someone claims to like you. You're literally surprised. You expect people to see through your unworthy core. Low self esteem keeps you from setting and achieving goals, forming meaningful relationships, trying for promotions and taking any risk for that. any type of risk, for that matter, will not happen with low self-esteem. So we know that we need to be okay with taking risks if we are trying to elevate. We have to be okay with that. So to treat low self-esteem by working through the following chapters in this book, we are going to tackle it, guys, here on Act Up. Let's tackle this low self-esteem. You know, we'll tackle some other topics on the next episodes regarding our thoughts and feelings, but today we're dealing with self-esteem. So the chapters we need to tap into are uncovering automatic thoughts, changing patterns of limited thinking, changing hot thoughts, testing core beliefs, and finally, changing core beliefs with visualization. So let's head over to our first topic, which is what we are going to do to develop the skills through this thought journal. So I'm going to have you do some activities here. We want to pay particular attention to limited thinking patterns such as filtering, polarized thinking, overgeneralization, and magnifying. We're going to talk about what all that means. We're going to work through these chapters, and then we're going to strengthen our work by confronting childhood situations in which our core beliefs were formed. You may still have work to do after we get through everything. We're going to talk about our hot thoughts. These things are immediately preceding a painful emotion. Okay, if one or two hot thoughts persist that undermine your self-esteem, you should try to convert what is this? Sensitization of hot thoughts. Try covert sensitization of hot thoughts in chapter 19. Okay, we might touch on that because we need to because I can't pronounce that first word. It's not sensualization, it's sensitization, sensitization of hot thoughts. Okay, so we'll get over or go over. Oh my goodness, my phone is blowing up. We'll go over what that means in this episode. We'll touch on that. That'll be a bonus at the end, just so we can see what's that word that Kelly Michelle couldn't pronounce. All right, so difficult techniques, but they are effective at extinguishing disturbing thoughts. So yes, we're gonna tackle it today. Stick with me. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. You're here on Act Up. We are staying above crazy thoughts, and the topic we are covering right now is uncovering automatic thoughts. We are important, we are worthy, we are loved. Today, we are going to affirm that. And we are trying to make sure that our self esteem is up to par as we are spreading love into this world and we are trying to make a change in this world and as we are self reflecting. Let's see what this uncovering automatic thoughts topic is going to help um, along this journey. How is it going to help? Okay, so thoughts cause feelings. This is the essential insight of cognitive therapy. All of the cognitive techniques that have been developed and refined in the last half of the 20th century flow out of this one simple idea that thoughts cause feelings, and many emotions you feel are preceded and caused by a thought. However abbreviated it is, fleeting, or unnoticed that thought may be. In other words, events by themselves have no emotional content. It's your interpretation of an event that causes your emotion. This is often represented as the ABC model of emotion. So A is the event, B is the thought you have, C is the feeling you have. For example, here's the event. You get into your car, turn the key, and nothing happens. B, the thought. You interpret the event by saying to yourself, oh no, My battery's dead. This is awful. I'm stuck or I'll be late. C, the feeling. You experienced an emotion appropriate to your thoughts. In this case, you feel depressed and anxious about being late. Change the thought and you change the feeling. If you had the thought, my son must have left the lights on all night again, you might have felt anger. If your thought was, I'll have an extra cup of coffee, relax, and wait for a jump from the tow truck, you would have felt mild annoyance at most. So here we need to learn how to uncover the automatic thoughts in this cycle. This is the basic skill you need to master in order to use cognitive therapy to reduce painful feelings. We about to reduce these painful feelings. And it starts with us. So symptom effectiveness. By itself, uncovering automatic thoughts is not considered a full-scale treatment. It's the first step in many different cognitive behavioral treatments. However, you may feel some type of immediate reduction in anxiety, depression, or anger as a result of exploring how you react to upsetting situations. This is a good sign that cognitive therapy is likely to help you quickly. On the other hand, it's more likely that you'll not experience any improvement in the symptoms by the end of this chapter. So, in fact, some feelings may actually intensify as a result of exploring them. Don't worry though. Remember that this is an early step along the way. So, I think that our listeners here on ACT UP, we're at a position where we're above that. We've already identified that our own thoughts can cause happiness or turmoil in our life. So we understand that even if we start feeling a little worse after starting addressing these issues and digging deep and self reflecting, in the end, we're going to feel better. It hurts sometimes to bring this stuff out, but we have to tackle it and we have to dig deep so that we can make sure that the roots are good before we bring it on up to the surface. We're not interested in it just looking good from the surface on up. We want to dig deep into that core. Most people make significant progress during the first week of faithfully keeping a thought journal. The longer you practice turning in your automatic thoughts, the better you get at it. It's a skill like knitting, skiing, writing, or singing on key. Practice makes perfect. So here's the activity. I want you to come up with, is we're going to call it a negative feedback loop. So then we have the event. Then we have the thought. Then we have the feeling sequence. This is the basic building block of emotional life. Okay, so this is considered to be a feedback loop. I'm going to put a picture, I'm going to post a picture on my Twitter page and also on my Instagram page of this feedback loop. And I'm going to refer you back to this podcast episode so that you can do this feedback loop yourself and see if it works for you as you're trying to address these automatic thoughts that pop up in our head. So, this feedback event loop or feedback loop starts with an event, then the arrow points down to the thought, then the thought points to the feeling, but the feeling can also point to another thought and back to a feeling and to a thought. So that one can circulate. And that's called a feedback loop. So if your car wouldn't start late at night when you were in a bad neighborhood, the negative feedback loop might go like this. The event is the car doesn't start. That's A. Here's B, the thought. Oh no, this is awful. I'll be late and this is a dangerous street. C is the feelings. My heart's beating fast. I'm feeling hot and sweaty. I'm irritated and I have anxiety. B is the thought. I'm scared. I can get mugged. This is really bad. I don't want to get mugged or robbed out here in this neighborhood. All of that coming up. None of it is happening. All of it is popping up in your mind. C is feelings. Stomach clenching, hard to breathe, you're dizzy, and you're fearful. B, back to B, is a thought. I'm freaking out. I'm losing control. I can't move. I can't get safe. And here's C again, which is a feeling, a strong adrenaline rush and panic. The nature of automatic thoughts. Let's talk about that. You're constantly describing the world to yourself. You're giving each event or experience some type of label. You are automatically making interpretations of everything you see, hear, and touch, and even feel. You judge it as good or bad, pleasurable or painful, safe or dangerous. This process colors all of your experiences, labeling them with private meanings. These labels and judgments are fashioned from the unending dialogue you have with yourself, a waterfall of thoughts cascading down the back of your mind. These thoughts are constant and rarely noticed, but they are powerful enough to create your most intense emotions. This internal dialogue is called self talk by rational emotive therapist Albert Ellis, and automatic thoughts by cognitive theorist Aaron Beck. So you've heard automatic thoughts, self-talk, that's the same thing. Beck prefers the term automatic thoughts because it more accurately describes the way thoughts are experienced. The person perceives these thoughts as though they are by reflex without any prior reflection or reasoning, and they impress him as plausible and valid. Okay, and that's Beck 1976. Automatic thoughts usually have the following characteristics. Number one, they often appear in shorthand, okay, composed of just a few essential words phrased in telegraphic style. Lonely, getting sick, can't stand it, cancer, no good. One word in a short phrase functions as a label for a group of painful memories, fears, or self reproaches. An automatic thought needn't be expressed in words at all. It can be a brief visual image, an imagined sound or smell, or any physical sensation. A woman who's afraid of heights had a half-second image of the floor tilting and felt herself sliding down toward the window. The momentary fantasy triggered acute anxiety within her whenever she ascended above the third floor. So sometimes these automatic thoughts, it's a brief reconstruction of some event in the past. A depressed woman kept seeing the stairway in Macy's where her husband had first announced his plan to leave her. The image of this stairway, okay, was enough to unleash all the feelings associated with that loss. Ain't that deep? That is deep, y'all. That is deep. Occasionally, an automatic thought can take some form of intuitive knowledge without words.